Every 4 years, the world stops. Schools pause classes, cities empty, families gather around televisions, and billions of people watch a single tournament, the FIFA World Cup. It is the biggest sporting event on Earth. But here is the surprising part. The World Cup almost never existed. In fact, when the idea was first proposed, most people thought it was impossible, too expensive, too risky, too ambitious. Yet one man refused to give up. His dream would change football forever and unite the world through a single game. This is the incredible story of how the World Cup was born and the forgotten man behind it all. Today, it is hard to imagine football without the World Cup. But at the beginning of the 20th century, there was no global championship. National teams rarely played one another. There was no trophy every country dreamed of winning. The only major international tournament was the Olympic Games, and that created a serious problem. The Olympics allowed only amateur athletes to compete. Professional footballers, the best players in the world, were excluded entirely. Imagine telling today's biggest stars they could not play simply because football was their job. To fans, it was frustrating. To football leaders, it was holding the sport back. Yet most people accepted it. After all, organizing a worldwide tournament seemed genuinely impossible. Commercial air travel did not exist. Crossing the Atlantic Ocean took weeks by ship. Many countries could not afford the journey. Communication between continents was painfully slow. Even arranging international matches was difficult under normal circumstances. The idea of bringing the world's best teams together in one place sounded like pure fantasy. But one man believed otherwise, and his belief would eventually reshape the entire sporting world. His name was Jules Rimet. Unlike football legends, Rimet never became famous for scoring goals. He was not a player, he was not a coach, he was a lawyer from France. But he loved football deeply and believed the game was more than entertainment. It had the power to unite people across borders and languages. After the horrors of World War I, Europe was scarred. Millions had died. Countries distrusted one another. Rimet believed football could do something politics could not: bring nations together peacefully. He imagined a tournament where countries competed with skill instead of weapons. A tournament where every nation could send its very best players, professionals included. It was a beautiful and powerful vision, but not everyone shared it. Many officials dismissed the idea outright. Some feared it would bankrupt the Fédération Internationale de Football Association. Others believed countries would never travel across oceans just to play football. To them, the dream was impossible. But Rimet refused to let it die. He carried the idea with him through years of meetings, debates, and rejections, never losing faith in what he believed football could become for the world. Ironically, the Olympics proved that football deserved something far bigger. The football tournament at the 1924 Paris Olympics attracted enormous crowds and widespread attention. 4 years later, the 1928 Amsterdam Olympics drew even more spectators and media coverage. Fans loved international football. Newspapers covered every match in detail. The sport had become a worldwide phenomenon that no one could ignore. Yet behind the scenes, a serious conflict was growing. The Fédération Internationale de Football Association wanted professional players to compete. The International Olympic Committee insisted on amateur-only competition and refused to change its position. Neither side was willing to compromise. For Jules Rimet, the answer became increasingly obvious. If football wanted to grow and reach its full potential, it needed to leave the Olympics behind. It needed its own championship, a tournament controlled entirely by football, designed specifically for football and open to every professional player in the world. The Olympic stage had served its purpose, but it had also revealed the sport's limitations within that framework. Football had outgrown the boundaries placed around it, and Rimet knew it. Now, all he needed was to convince the rest of the world to see what he already saw so clearly. In 1928, football officials from around the world gathered in Amsterdam. The future of international football rested entirely in their hands. Rimet stood before them and proposed something unprecedented: a global football championship held every 4 years. One trophy, one champion, one tournament to unite the world. It was an enormous gamble. If the delegates rejected the proposal, the dream would end forever. Debates filled the room. Questions came from every direction. Would countries actually participate? Who would pay for the organization? Who would host it? Could such a tournament survive financially? The concerns were real and the stakes were high. Finally, the votes were counted. The proposal passed. The FIFA World Cup had officially been born. But creating it on paper was only the beginning. Now they had to make it actually happen, and that challenge would prove just as difficult as getting the vote passed in the first place. Many people assumed the first World Cup took place somewhere in Europe. It did not. The honor went to Uruguay, and there were very good reasons for that decision. Uruguay had won Olympic football gold in both 1924 and 1928, making them the strongest team in the world at that time. The country was also celebrating 100 years of independence, making the occasion even more significant. But one offer changed everything. Uruguay promised to pay the travel expenses of every participating nation. For the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, it was an offer impossible to refuse. Still, many European countries declined the invitation. The trip across the Atlantic Ocean took nearly 2 weeks by ship. Players would miss work. Clubs were reluctant to release their best players for such a long period. Some feared the journey itself. In the end, only 4 European teams accepted: France, Belgium, Romania, and Yugoslavia. Together, they boarded the ocean liner Conte Verde. For nearly 2 weeks, they trained on the ship's deck while waves crashed around them. The first World Cup had already become an adventure before a single match was played, and the world was about to witness something it had never seen before. On July 13, 1930, history was made. The first FIFA World Cup officially began. Only 13 nations participated. There were no qualification rounds, just 13 teams chasing one dream on the other side of the world. The tournament exceeded every expectation. Crowds filled the stadiums. The excitement was unlike anything football had ever produced before. Then came the final, Uruguay versus Argentina. Nearly 70,000 spectators packed the stadium in Montevideo. The atmosphere was electric, tense, and unforgettable. After an intense and dramatic battle, Uruguay won 4 goals to 2. The host nation became football's first world champion. The impossible dream had become reality, and the world would never look at football the same way again. The original championship trophy was later renamed the Jules Rimet Trophy, to honor the man who made it all possible. For decades, it represented football's greatest prize and the pinnacle of international competition. Then, in 1983, it disappeared. Thieves stole the trophy from the headquarters of the Brazilian Football Confederation. Despite years of investigation, it was never recovered. Most experts believe it was melted down for its gold content, erasing a physical piece of football history forever. Today, billions of people celebrate the World Cup every 4 years. They cheer unforgettable goals, legendary players, and dramatic finals that define generations. But very few remember the man who made it all possible. Jules Rimet never scored a goal. He never won a World Cup as a player or a coach. Yet, without his determination, his vision, and his refusal to accept that something beautiful was impossible, the world's greatest sporting event might never have existed at all. Sometimes history is not changed by the people standing on the field under the floodlights. It is changed by the person who dares to imagine a future that no one else can yet see, and then spends a lifetime making sure that future arrives.